Welcome to lesson 3 of my Python series, loops. So before we move on to loops, let's first look at nested if statements. We can put if statements inside of each other, and the inner if statement will only be checked if the outer one is true. So the same way you would put code indented that you want to run if true, you can also put if statements inside. To try this out, let's write a program that asks the user to guess a number from 1 to 5, and if the guess is the winning number, print that the user has won, else print whether the guess is too high or too low. So having a winning number, let's just say it's 3, and now we need an input, so guess equals int input guess. First we'll just check if the guess is the winning number, because that means they win, and we don't need to check if it's higher or lower. And then else, this is where we'll use nested if statements. So inside of this else, we'll see if it's higher, so if guess is greater than winning num, we'll print too high, and then else, we'll print too low. So if I put the winning number, I'll just get you win. If I put a number that's too high, I'll get too high, and if I put one that's too low, I'll get too low. Write an automatic pizza order program that works out the final bill of an inputted order. So these are the conditions. A small pizza will be $15, a medium will be $20, a large will be $25. And then pepperoni for a small pizza will be extra $2, but for a medium or large will be an extra $3. And then cheese will just be $1 regardless of the size. So let's just make a variable for the total bill, which will start at 0. We'll just get the inputs first. So size will be input, what size would you like? And we'll have small, medium, or large. And then we'll check if they want pepperoni. So that will be input, do you want pepperoni? Yes or no? And then also wants cheese. Do you want cheese? So first, let's just add to the bill based on purely the size. So if size equals s, we'll add 15. And this is syntax for adding to a variable. So adding to the value of the variable. So we're adding 15 to total bill. Also if size equals m, total bill plus equals 20. And then else, total bill plus equals 25. Now we'll check if they want pepperoni. Inside of this, we'll use nested if statement. So if the size is small, then it's going to cost $2, so we'll add 2. And then else it costs $3, so we'll add 3. And then finally, we'll check if they want cheese. And this will just be 1 regardless, so we'll just add 1. Finally, we'll just print the total bill. And let's run this. So first, let's just do a medium pizza with no pepperoni and no cheese. We of course just get 20. Now let's try to add some pepperoni. So we do small with pepperoni, no cheese. We get 17 because it's 15 plus 2, and so on. Modules contain functions that can be imported into a program. So this is the syntax for that. From module, import function. The random module contains functions that work with randomization. The first function we'll look at is the random function. So this is not built in. It comes in the random module. So to import it, we would say from random, import random. So this basically chooses a random integer between 2 integers. The first parameter is minimum and the second is maximum. Write a program that chooses a random number from 1 to 5 and has the user guess what it is. Display whether the user is correct or not. So first we have to import the random function. So from random, import random. Now we'll use that function to get a random number from 1 to 5 and we'll store that in a variable. So random number equals randint 1 to 5. And then we'll just get a guess. So we'll convert that to an integer, input, guess a number from 1 to 5. And we'll just check if it's correct. So if guess equals random number, print that is correct. Else, print that is incorrect. And we'll also print what the number is, just so we can see that. We see that as 3, so if I guess 3, then it'll be correct. This time I chose 4, so if I guess something different, it'll be incorrect. Write a program that plays a game of rock, paper, scissors with the user. We'll represent rock with 0, paper with 1, and scissors with 2. So first we'll just randomize a number for the computer's choice. Randint 0, 2, and also have to import it. And the user choice will be input, so int input, choose rock, 0, paper, 1, or scissors, 2. We'll check if it's a tie first, so if computer choice equals user choice, print is a tie, else, and then we'll use nested statements. So if computer choice equals 0 and user choice equals 2, which is rock versus paper, then we'll print computer has 1. Also if computer choice equals 1 and user choice equals 0, so that's paper versus scissors, then computer also wins. Else if computer choice equals 2 and user choice equals 1, print computer has 1. And then else if all of these are false, by process of elimination, we know that the user won. So we'll just print user has 1. And you could have done this the other way around too. Since these are in number form, let's just convert them to string form. So we'll use a statement for that. So if user choice equals 0, set user choice to be rock. Else if user choice equals 1, user choice equals paper. Else user choice equals scissors. And we'll do the same for the computer choice. Computer choice. And then we'll just print the result at the end. So print you chose user choice and the computer chose computer choice. And now we'll just run the code. So I'll just put rock, computer has 1, you chose rock, and the computer chose paper. Now we'll begin talking about loops. So first we're going to look at while loops. Loops are used to perform a series of actions repeatedly. And while loops recur until a condition is no longer met. So you can see in green, that's the condition that we're checking for, and then the blue is the code to run if still true. So it's basically like an if statement that runs repeatedly until it returns false. Write a program that prints the first 10 numbers using a while loop. So first we need a variable to keep track of the number. So we'll just start it at 1 because we're printing the first 10 whole numbers. And then we're going to use while. So while this num is less than or equal to 10, because we want the first 10, we'll just print the num. But we also need to increase the num by 1 every time, so that it counts up. So num plus equals 1. That's all we need. So if we run this, we get the numbers from 1 to 10. Run a program that prints the first 10 even numbers using a while loop. So since we're printing the first 10 even numbers, we'll start num at 2. And while num, instead of 10, it's going to be 20. while num is less than or equal to 20, print num, and then instead of increasing by 1, we're increasing by 2, because we're going through the even numbers. If you run this, we'll get the first 10 even numbers, so 2 to 20. Write a program that prints the first 10 numbers in reverse order using a while loop. So instead of starting at 1, we have to start at 10 because we're going in reverse. And instead of going until it hits 10, we're going until it hits 1. So while num is greater than or equal to 1, we're going to print the num. And instead of adding 1 each time, we're subtracting 1 each time. So num minus equals 1. As you can see, we get the numbers from 10 to 1. Moving on to for loops. For loops occur for each item in a sequence. So for a variable in sequence, and then the code to run each time. And this variable can be referenced inside of that code, but it will not be available outside of this for loop. Something that pairs really well with the for loop is the range function, which creates a sequence of numbers from one integer up to but not including another. Here's the syntax for that, and only the stop before parameter is required. By default, start at will be 0 and count by will be 1. So count by is how much it is incrementing by. Write a program that prints the first 10 numbers using a for loop. So this is pretty simple. We'll just say for, and then our variable, I'll just call it num, and then in, and we need a sequence. So we'll say range, and then 1, but instead of 10, it's 11 because it doesn't include the last number. So this will be from 1 to 10. Print num. So it's not including the 11. We get the numbers from 1 to 10. Write a program that prints the first 10 even numbers using a for loop. So similar to the last one, we'll say for num in range, and then we're going to start at 2, and instead of going to 10, we're going to 20, so that'll be 21, and then we're incrementing by 2 each time. Then we'll just print the num. We get the numbers from 2 to 20. Write a program that prints all of the odd numbers within a given range using a for loop. So we'll say for num in range, and let's just say it's 1 to 10. So we'll do 1, 11. We can use an if statement inside of this to check if it's odd. So if num mod 2 not equals 0, we'll print num. As you can see, we get 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Write a program that prints the first 10 numbers in reverse order using a for loop. So similar to before with the while loop, for num in range, we're starting at 10, going until but not including 0, and then incrementing by -1 instead. And then we're just printing the num. We get 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Write a function that prints the sum of all the numbers from 1 to 10. So we'll make a variable for the sum, start at 0, for num in range, 1, 11. We'll just add that num to the sum. And then we'll print the sum after the for loop. We get 55. Just to note, if you want to terminate a loop early, you can use the break statement. That concludes this lesson. I'll leave all the solutions in the description.